You're listening to the Around the Lens podcast, the home of high-quality, roundtable, visual journalism discussion about the news, topics, and gear related to our career field. Now, here's the host of our show, David J. Murphy.
Hello and welcome back. We are back, the new Around the Lens. After a year-long hiatus, a year break from doing all this fun stuff, we are back with our first new episode 251. If you've been keeping track, if you're a super fan, you know exactly how many episodes we've been doing. And you may know some differences in what we're doing here. Some pretty cool stuff. Obviously, we have a guest in person.
Hi.
Mr. Matthew Callahan.
It's me.
Matt, great to have you.
It's good to be here.
You're our first guest in the studio, which is actually my house. Actually, you are the first guest we've had in this house at all. So
nice.
You should be honored
that's actually really cool. No,
yeah.
It's a nice joint. Before you continue further, I just want to draw some lovely attention to this amazing museum of video game history. Very, very good.
Yes. Finally getting the chance to take it all out and build my little man cave video game history museum. Love my games. Most of these are not actually hooked up, unfortunately, so I can't play them. I got the PS4 and the Xbox hooked up. Xbox 360 is dead, unfortunately. So,
even the little one over here?
Well, the HD DVD drive, I should probably, if I get the Xbox 360 fixed, or if I get a new one, then I'll hook up the HD drives.
This thing's seen some sun.
Yeah, they've all seen their fair share of life in yellowing. With all the white ones are yellowing.
What's the policy on cursing on this show?
We try and keep cursing to a minimum.
Okay, very well.
If we have, but if it comes out, it comes out, you know?
Okay. All right.
But I can always bleep because we're not live anymore. That's another thing. So you may be asking yourself, what's different with the new Around the Lens? Well, obviously, my goal and hope is that we can have in-studio guests now that I'm back in the sort of DC area. We're also going to kind of keep it a little bit more loose, right? So in the past, I've been really strict with regard to making sure we did our 3 topics. If you've listened to the show, here we're just going to kind of talk for as long as we feel like talking about and talk about whatever we want to talk about. So I've got a kind of structure of what we can talk about in some topics, but no obligation to follow through with that. So it's more conversational, more light, more just, guys or gals, when I get some gals on the show. Yeah, just hanging out, chilling, talking about whatever. As long as it kind of relates to visual information and stuff like that. Beyond that, same old show. It always was just, talking about visual information. We're here and, hopefully we can get Zach down here at some point. Zach, when are you coming to DC?
I have a apartment in Norfolk
oh my
now,
goodness,
so
wow.
at least I'm in the region. I'm up here because I was photographing a wedding. And then I have some appointments that I just need to finish up before I finally move. So basically just paying rent down at a apartment that is basically empty because I signed a lease and then immediately left.
Oh no. So when are you heading back? You said you're up there
next week.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, you can swing by here on your way down if you like to, or, Virginia Beach.
My
Norfolk
isn't
too
DC,
far from,
so
yeah. Take the train.
Oh,
head on up.
That's a half a day trip. Not even it's what? From DC, it's about 3 hours.
Yeah,
about 4.
Yeah, a lot better than upstate New York, that's for sure.
We're on 2 abouts in upstate New York. You're near Buffalo.
North of Syracuse, halfway between Syracuse and Fort Drum.
Oh, okay, all right.
Basically,
that's fair. Oh man, I miss Syracuse. They were supposed to have the fall workshop this year, but it got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah,
they had a bunch of outbreaks on the campus again, and I got the email there because I was supposed to go be one of the the mentors at it.
Oh, nice.
It's nice. I got the email. They're like, yeah, we can't do it this year because I was like, man, we were so close. Close.
Last time I was at Syracuse was for their 50th anniversary. Mm-hmm. They had a cool event, and it was a lot of the instructors gave us these cool seminars. There was the one guy, can't remember his name, but super duper famous guy. He's the one who shot Giuliani standing on top of the building right after 9/11. So he was the super mayor at the time.
Oh, wow.
So he did that shot, and I think Joe McNally was there. So all the big wigs, all the big hitters and stuff like that.
Joe McNally.
Did you go to Syracuse for the MPJ program?
I did, not for MPJ. I went for video.
Okay.
For the video program. And
now it's MVPJ or something like that, right?
I don't know what it is, and I don't even know if there's. You're kind of working at the heart and center of the apparatus now, right? I know last year and the year before, I believe there was no Syracuse classes for anybody. Was there?
I don't know. I don't know.
We gotta
I
look
haven't been following it that closely. Yeah. So what have we been up to for the last year? I've been moving. We were in Korea for the last 2 years. I tried to do some stuff out there. Been busy this last year, and back in the States now, living in Maryland. Really had the itch to revive the show and get things going back and getting some folks, seeing people in person. There's a few other folks I'd like to get here at the house and do this show in person. And obviously, ideally, we'd have the whole show with everybody in person, but we're making do what we can. We'll do this like this, as much as we can.
Crawl, walk, run. Right?
And yeah.
Crawl, walk.
What's before crawl? Maybe like shuffle, low crawl.
Fetal position. Just wiggling.
That's kind of where I'm at right
floor.
now. Yeah.
Just gotta make sure everybody has their boosters and everything like that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So just getting settled in. Really, if you could see the house, I'm not going to take you to the second and third floor because those are disaster areas, even worse than the first floor. But we're getting through it all.
It's not that bad.
But what you been up to, Matt? You've been out of the military for 4 years now, and what have you been up to since the last time we had you on the show and talked about your career? How's civilian life treating you?
Civilian life's kind of a roller coaster ride, if I'm being frank, and a little honest. But what am I up to right now? I'm going to be going to college here finally.
Oh, wonderful!
And yeah, spring semester. If they'll accept my application, I applied for Maryland Institute College of Art.
Wow.
So I'm going to be going to hang out with a bunch of art students, and that should be fun.
Nice. Are you going to be able to apply any of that Syracuse degree matriculation to your degree?
I am. Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing. Like they laid out a degree plan for me, and most of the classes that I took in Syracuse are transferable to whatever major I'd be going for. It's film and video for Micah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just kind of. Micah was the name of my second cousin in
Okay.
Kentucky by marriage. And that's the first thing that went into my mind when I saw Micah as just like a name for an institution. I was like, well, he's not a bad dude. Sounds like a good place to be. Look
Yeah.
into it a little more and sounds like a pretty fun place to be. But other than that, worked at DMA for a little while. Don't work with them anymore.
So you're a contractor?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I was fired.
Oh, so you were a GS employee?
I was. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I was. Yeah, I was within that 2-year probationary period thing. Personality conflict. It happens. That happened back in May. But
Sorry to hear that.
me too, honestly, because there's just so much going on there, so much that can happen. It kind of wasn't, but you know what? Whatever.
Yeah.
Just wasn't. I thought that the Marine Corps had a good way of telling me like it. I wasn't cut out for the Marine Corps.
Right.
Government work,
Yeah.
it's just tough, but we'll figure it out. I still want to tell the military story in whatever capacity that kind of takes here in the future. I guess we'll find out. But
Zach, what have you been up to the last year or so?
last year. Oh God. I'm trying to remember the last time because I obviously wasn't on that often.
No, yeah,
in
it
the
was
last
tough
year,
with
even
Korea
before
and
that.
everything on the time zone difference, but
I'm not a morning person. So I worked briefly. I'm trying to remember if I had been on even since then. It was like right at the start of the pandemic, unknowing to me. I started working as a photographer in the White House, not literally for the White House, but in the press room. And I worked a week. And then the pandemic happened and the White House press room got shut down to anything but AP, Reuters, the elite of it.
of course.
And so I lost my job, the first job I've had like in, a real job in like 10 years, lost that within 1 week. And then basically after that, I started covering the kind of, what would it be? The anti-shutdown protests that were happening. And then eventually I spent like a couple weeks on the road off and on covering the Black Lives, the George Floyd protests in like 4 or 5 different cities. So I kept myself busy. I should have worked on a book like everybody, but I'm kind of like trying to work on that now, trying to do like a book and a documentary about like the past like 5-6 years, and kind of like, how we got here, because, obviously what I've been covering, over the last couple of years, but specifically is the far extreme right And there's 3 different trials going on right now. So
Yeah.
basically, I'm just listening to trials right now for the last couple weeks. That's basically what I've been doing.
And how has that last year for you been on the ground? Kind of seeing from a bunch of different perspectives on this. You put yourself in the thick of it. What are you seeing on the ground, Zach?
I got shot by stuff a lot. I got pepper sprayed in the face. I got shot with a rubber bullet in the leg. I got lucky compared to another photographer who I know, Linda, who got shot in the eye, and but there's a lot of police violence against journalists, kind of just whether we're caught in the fray or actually like targeted. Got in Rochester, I got shot with pepper pellets. There's these little tiny BBs that hurt like a little bugger. I'd rather take those than whatever, but they explode into pepper spray, which is they're supposed to shoot them at the ground, and they kind of make this dust. I got shot about 35 times over 3 days with those. One time I just got right down the side of my so wow. A lot of fun new PTSD. That's cool. So yeah, no, I mean, it's but otherwise it's been both like extremely disheartening, but also like the combo of like going to an anti-vax rally where people basically are telling you that everyone lies about, the pandemic, everything, everyone really, 600,000, 700,000 people didn't die, that everyone in the media is lying to you getting that day. And then like sometimes the next day or the next like week or whatever, covering, either whether it be a voting rights thing or whether it be a Black Lives Matter, George Floyd thing. And then like seeing that other side, it's been interesting to say the least.
What's your relationship?
January 6th, are in prison, kind of on the run in different ways. Like obviously, the federal government probably has their list, has their number, and they're just like, we're just going to let them free range until we want to pick them up. But that has kind of evolved into the anti-shutdown rally a lot, like the not anti-shutdown, but anti-mask, anti-vax rallies that have been happening. They've been shutting down bridges and that sort of thing, doing a lot of the things that like Occupy used to do, but not surprisingly, not getting arrested and not getting beaten the way that Occupy Wall Street did. And so that's been a lot of the same characters kind of cross back and forth. I don't think we'll see a lot of things until there might be some shenanigans going down depending on in Kenosha, depending on how the Kyle Rittenhouse trial happens, because there's a really good chance it's going to end on Monday. Really? I think he's getting off.
I was listening to that coverage.
The judge, everything has been a complete and utter disaster. I mean, the judge wouldn't allow people to call. You can't use the term victims in the trial, which I'm not quite sure how you literally hold a trial where there are 2 people that were killed. but that's all there's photo evidence, there's video evidence of things happening. The fun to bring it to what we talk about, not obviously not politics, is there's been one in quotes fun moment where the judge believed that Apple, when you pinch and expand a photo,
manipulates the image,
could potentially manipulate and add information, add pixels.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it's just like, I'm like, I felt so bad for the prosecution being like, how do I explain to grandpa that no?
Yeah.
But the defense was trying to push that line because it fit their things. And I'm like, do you have somebody from Apple come in? Do you have Tim Cook? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you respond to that as like a basic photo thing? But, you know,
I like to call my next witness, Tim Apple, to the stand.
Yeah. Come on up here.
Mr.
Actually,
Apple.
let me just call my 9-year-old nephew in to explain how all of this works to you, Grandpa. Okay.
I'd like to call my next witness any random teenager.
Yeah.
Any random 12-year-old.
Yes. That's not how resolution works. You can't just go enhance.
Not yet.
Right.
Very soon, though. I mean, we're just about there.
If you look at like what they're able to do with AI, I mean, and the way they can take a low resolution image and upscale it, it's just amazing.
Oh, it is incredible.
Yeah. But yeah, that trial has been a complete cluster. It's just been interesting because from a visual perspective, I mean, it's all been videotaped, right? It's all being broadcast. And it was interesting watching like how people live stream themselves watching the trial. Yet the lawyers will live streaming and then see how they react and their commentary. So it's like almost like commentary on a sports program.
That was embarrassing. I don't know if you saw that Reddit clip when there's a Reddit clip that a clip of two or three lawyers on one side and then the screen on the other. And then something happens and all of them go, whoa, like it's a sports game and not a trial for two people that were killed and one person that was very badly wounded. And it's just like, this is where we are in live streaming. This is why
we've just gamified
Twitch terrifies
everything. Everything's a game of football now. Great.
Make sure he was just found not guilty. Make sure you hit those likes and, make sure you like, share, and, donate to the tip jar or whatever. I don't know. I don't do Twitch, but,
Well, Instagram is about to be Twitch ish with
good
the subscriptions. I saw that one on your things if you wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, sure. I can bring that up for sure. Let me pull up the news story.
Moving into the
nice segue. Well done.
Okay, Instagram nearing launch of paid subscriptions. Let me put that up on the big screen.
Because I saw this actually today, I think for the first time. Oh yeah, it just came out yesterday. And man, the rapid monetization of Instagram, what a ride that's been. Yeah. I'm no longer on that roller coaster.
Oh yeah, you're off Instagram?
Yeah, I took it all down, actually.
Really? Wow.
No, November 7th was my last full day. Like you have to, when you delete a Facebook account or an Instagram account, you have to wait 30 days. Yeah. November 7th was my 30 days.
Wow. What was your decision there?
There's a lot of things involved, but it just, I don't know. I just felt like it was sucking up all of my time for no reason. And it just, the way, at first, with all the monetization and stuff coming to Instagram, it's like, oh, that sounds really cool. Maybe I'll be able to make some money. But I quickly realized it's like, no, you just have to be a content creating machine. And that's your entire life. And me personally, just somebody who isn't just super used to just, I don't know, being on camera every single day or asking people for money every single day and just trying to make content that fits some niche somewhere for something. It's just like, it's overwhelming. It's too much. It's way too much. And not judging anybody for keeping it now and going forth and doing the thing. But I think GCP Gray kind of put it well as a YouTube personality that does a lot of fun stuff about automation. And, the economy cannot be based on creators. There can only be so many, and this massive just race to the bottom, in my opinion, is just going to disappoint a lot of people. Because there can only be so many folks raking in and reaping the rewards of just popular content. That's how it's always worked.
Well, that's the big thing too is like obviously more in the journalism world, more print than even photo, is that there's like the Substack subscribe, like Substack has been the big thing that like one of those things. It's like, it's not going to save journalism, but at least like people who like get laid off or they have different choice, like at least they have different choices. But it's just like there's like 10 people that make $500,000 a year on it, and then the drop off is like just right off the side of a cliff. And then people like, you know, some people make a living, you know, some people have like, okay, this is what I do for a living, this is my salary, and that's it. But you know, there's also with Substack is that a lot of people were paid like just a flat fee or earlier, or at least I'm not quite sure how like the money's paid out, but like they're like, okay, you can't do any content anywhere else, you only do it on Substack, but we'll give you $150,000 to do it for a year.
Wow.
And,
So
or like like Glenn Greenwald got like $500K to leave, but he was making that like before he quit his job at The Intercept. And so like they paid him, and then any new subscriptions, they get a percentage, they get like a high percentage of, I'm making up numbers, but basically it's like they get 3/4 and you get 1/4 of, and then after that, we're going to see in a year, I think we're going to see like Substack go, oh, like everybody that's on Substack is going to just see, like, you're going to see a huge amount of people that with big names probably leave afterwards. Because I don't know how many, like I have a Patreon, I got $220 a month on it. And half of those people are family members. So like, you know, it's just the subscriber economy for the type of like real journalism or anything like that is so minimal. Unless you're the New York Times or something like that, and you're creating an incredible sum of content. And, you know, even the New York Times is starting to do like way more clickbait type stuff than they used to, because traffic is, you know, now king. But it'll be interesting with Instagram. With this type of thing definitely wouldn't, because I think you probably definitely I only have like 1,000 people follow me on Instagram. What was your number? Like you had much bigger numbers,
was that
right?
like 41,000.
Yeah.
I started posting all my pictures in the giant grid, and I lost about 5,000 followers over a month. And I was like, man, everyone's real salty about this one.
Maybe I'm. Why did you quit Instagram? Is that what you said?
I did. Yeah, I deleted the whole thing. It's all gone.
So all of that.
Yeah, this is actually the first I'm like telling anybody about it. So there you go.
Oh my goodness, scoop!
It's gone.
God, how many scoops we got? Damn.
What was the
2 scoops of whole raisins?
Oh my goodness.
I don't deserve that.
I'm sorry. I was kind of trying to manage all the technical stuff. Why did you leave Instagram again?
I was telling Zach, it was overwhelming.
Okay.
Not conducive, I think, to who I am as a creative.
Yeah.
For the most part, it just felt like most folks could probably say the same exact thing. Just like this rapid monetization happened. At first, I was like, cool idea. Then I realized, like, oh man, that's like to actually make money or to actually keep up with whatever Instagram's algorithms are doing. This is just a show. It's a mess. It's a mess. It was a mess for me, and I just had to leave. I had to get off. So I got off of Facebook too. Got off Instagram.
Wow.
Until the federal government breaks them all up again, I will remain off of Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
Are you on anything?
Reddit. In the shadows. In the shadows.
You lurk on Reddit?
I lurk on Reddit. I post some content. So like, you know, like most of my previously existing stuff is all military stuff. Like I'll hop on the military sub and just post a photo every so often, be like, here's a picture of some people doing some things.
Okay. Wow.
There you go, internet.
Not even a Flickr page, huh?
No.
Wow.
No, not even a Flickr page. I still have my website, which we have up here.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only source.
Yeah, we'll show off your reel in a minute.
Yeah.
Or towards the end of the show.
Yeah, whatever.
What about TikTok? Are you doing TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
I tried TikTok for like 5 minutes. No, I did the TikTok thing for a little while, and again, it's just what's funny is bringing it back to the imaging side of the house. I am full blown all in 100% vertical cinema, just 9x16, 8x10 all day. Let's go. Just making content like that. Like I just want to take everybody's high definition televisions and flip them on their sides and show them what we can do with vertical cinema.
Samsung made one TV that could do that.
Yeah. Oh, and then you're gonna start seeing it, but the thing is, everyone's used to looking at content like this. So I'd begun over the summer making content to just like fill the phone screen and do the thing. And TikTok was the first real platform to just go all in on vertical video, completely. And we'd all been kind of tied. I've been railing against vertical photography for a long time, mostly because I spent most of my time in the military looking at other folks' photographs, verticals that ought not to be verticals. And I'm like, this isn't how it works, guys. But I've had a change of heart, and vertical is like pretty much all I shoot now.
Wow.
Stills or otherwise. It's a vertical orientation, and it looks really nice on phone screens.
Yeah.
Tell you that much. It kind of serves as it's like a window, especially with video. It's like a window when you're looking, especially like a big phone screen, and you watch this stuff. It's like, oh, you can just like jump right in.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Hmm.
But I'll be experimenting with a lot of that stuff in college.
Yeah.
And the safe spaces that exist there, the institutions of academia and art history. It's
There
going
you
to be
go.
a good time.
Nice. That's awesome. When do you start that again? You start that?
Well, I got to get accepted first,
Okay.
but hopefully here the spring semester. So
Spring.
the middle towards the end of January, be heading that way and
Nice.
ensconcing myself in the art world. It'll be fun.
Is that like is it a difficult institution to get into? Is there a lot of competition for the opportunity, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. My wife brought it up. I was looking at various schools, and she lives and works. We live and work in DC. Well, she works. I don't work right now. But she had mentioned Micah because of the other school. It would have been Syracuse or Columbia, possibly. But we don't go to New York right now. We just kind of want to stay where we're at.
Right.
That kind of seemed like the best bet. So it's a great school, from what I'm told. Their website's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, you ever just have, Zach, this is a question for both of you. Y'all ever just like go to someone's website and are we past the point of being impressed by websites anymore? Because like I went on their website and it was just beautifully designed. Everything was super fluid. I just had a great time. And I was like, wow, this convinced me to apply to this school. This website's amazing. Like they just have everything going on. I'm like, man, their web developers are real good.
When you get to the school, because you will go there and you will go to school there, you can go and find the web.
I'm gonna find the web and be like, you did a good job.
That's right.
You brought me here.
No, I'm impressed. I'm impressed by anyone who makes a good website. I mean, my website's in disarray. I'd have to go back to djmphoto.com and get it fixed up. But the folks who put time and attention and care into a good website, I totally appreciate that. I think we've, especially nowadays, so many folks are like, oh, I'll just make a Facebook page, to advertise my wares and stuff like that. Yeah. The person who actually takes the effort to make a good, nice website that is also extensible to mobile and iPad and different formats and actually takes the care to do that, I'm really impressed by that.
And that's a good segue. And today's sponsor is Squarespace.
Oh my gosh, I wish.
Yeah.
We never had a sponsor. We almost had a sponsor one time, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Who is going to be that sponsor?
Can you say?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember who.
We had talked about one time. There was a lawyer that Zach was working with.
Oh, yeah.
And there was very early discussions about the potential of them advertising on the show.
Yeah. Once he gets his law license back, we'll talk to him again. He's still my lawyer, so whatever.
Yeah.
But anybody who has ever sued anybody for copyright infringement knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The judges don't like him.
Wow.
So, but yeah, but he's
I
still
think the
around,
closest company we've ever had that would be not a sponsor, but closest to a sponsor would be what's the gear company that makes a lot of gear backpacks we all use?
It's
very popular.
Mind Shift, right?
Mind Shift,
Think Tank.
Think Tank. Yeah. They were very supportive of the show.
Yeah.
In terms of providing us, contest giveaways and stuff like that.
Review gear and stuff like that, which still one of them somewhere.
Could never get an actual sponsor. As much as I try to get NPPA to get on board and see if they want to sponsor the show or bring us into their NPPA fold, they were like, no.
Yeah.
So
sorry, guys. That's okay.
Yeah. But in terms of things happening over the last year, I do want to say I shifted to the R5, the Canon R5. That was my big shift. I'm happy to say that I've completed my trifecta gear kit. So I recently got the 14 to 35 millimeter f4. So I now have my wide, my medium, and my close. I got my flash. I got my battery grip. I got everything I need for my R5 to do anything I want. So definitely going to be doing a lot more work out there and putting myself out there and trying to get some gigs and other things. So now I've got the full set. Have any of you guys messed with any new gear and upgrade your gear in the last year or so? Zach, you interested in getting that Z9?
I hate to, I guess we can, for as a diehard Nikon person, I'm actually, I finally unless Nikon does something in the next like 2 months, I am going to Sony.
Oh my goodness. No,
jump
Yeah,
No.
yeah, no.
End of an era.
I have two this is my Z6. I have two Z6s now. That's the small rig cage on it, which I absolutely love. I like having something on it I feel like I can, kill a man with. But
That's fair. That's fair.
Hey, when you're out there in those protests, you got something to defend yourself, right?
I mean, well, the big thing too is like if you drop it, it's really because I'm dropsy. But yeah, no, I'm actually probably selling this pretty soon. Which by the way, I'm surprised. Tokina has a 16 to 28 millimeter 2.8 full frame. It is fantastic. It's got a bit of a bulbous glass on it or end on it, so filter wise, like you're looking at something else.
Probably
But
plates for, yeah.
but
It's not
like
really cool,
it's I got it. Actually, considering I'm reselling it, I don't want to say how much I got it for, but but you can get it like new for like $450 or something ridiculous. Compared to, because my 16 to 28 Nikon, or I'm sorry, 17 to 35 2.8 Nikon, finally I broke a piece on it in the back somehow, and it won't connect to the mirrorless cameras.
Oh, no.
So I basically just sent it to a friend of mine who shoots Nikon, and I was just like, have fun with it, because it was way too damaged to actually sell for anything, because I just felt like a moral responsibility to be like, I've dropped it about 7 times. It's been through a hurricane, pepper spray, everything you can think of under the sun has gotten on it. Yeah, no, probably just best to not get $150 for lens, but yeah, just to be like, somebody's going to yell at me later on. But no, I almost everything I'm doing now is video work, and which is good and bad.
It's the way of the world.
I miss stills, I miss just not having that responsibility. Weirdly, I'm shooting weddings now, so doing second shooting weddings, which I love second shoot. I never want to do primary, unless especially if I'm paid really, really well, because the responsibility and the terror of it. I'm happy to.
Expectations will be high. Very high.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, my sister's getting married, and like they obviously ran through all the potential wedding photographers through me, and like, here's the portfolios, and the one they went with is fantastic. But my mom was just like, she's charging, this is New York City, she's charging $10,000. What? Like, how? Why aren't you doing this? Like, why are you always broke? This is what you can charge people.
Right.
Also, no, I mean, her work's incredible, and I'm just like, I just told her, I was just like, this is how much it costs. Like, you could pay more.
Yeah,
like
that's low end, honestly, for New York City. I mean,
yeah,
photographer,
a
photographer, like photographer, videographer.
I'm probably actually, like, my wedding gift to them is probably I'm gonna be shooting second shooter and some video.
Wow, that's nice.
So so she should know that her especially with video stuff, like, she should know that her wedding gift is probably one of the most expensive wedding gifts at the party.
Yeah, wow. So since you've moved over to Sony, then you're into the Sony a Alpha 7 IV, the Mark IV. That's the latest greatest, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it'll be what my entry costs to Sony I can afford.
Yeah.
One of the things, like the FX3, I'm actually just double checking that that's what it is. Right. Yeah. This Sony full frame FX3. It's a cinema camera. Has 4K resolution, everything like that. But it's built like a tank. It's built like I'd say like I'm trying to remember what medium format camera I'm thinking of, like a Mamiya, like not into the depth, but the handheld ones. Am I thinking of the wrong ones? So it's a little bit bigger than
like the
normal
RZ67, but a smaller form factor, kind of.
The FX3 is basically a DSLR size, but it's like a little bit bigger. It doesn't have like a grip or anything like that on it. But the cool thing about the FX3, never mind being basically in a DSLR format, which I'm so used to, that's how I shoot run and gun and this sort of thing. It actually has like a cage built on it. Like, it has the screws, like it has like this sort of thing. Obviously, for people listening, it has like the all the different mounts. It has all that built on it. So you literally can just put things on it and you're set. And like a friend of mine, her name on Twitter is Scootercaster. She does like breaking news stuff, and she literally files video from her phone through the camera, and then like she's always getting, you know, breaking news stuff. She's constantly getting, she said her stuff is being bought right away because they're like, holy shit, hey, this is gorgeous, and you know, it's a full frame video camera that has ISO through the roof, and
see in the
so
dark, looks gorgeous.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's one of the best things you can, and also it just takes Sony mount lenses, so probably I'll shoot one of those and then get kind of whatever A7 whatever that I can afford after that, because like I said, I'm mostly shooting video now, and with the unfortunate thing is like finally get this 4K video cameras. They're gorgeous. Like Nikon's video is absolutely amazing. I love it. But then like you were saying, like then I have to consider everything is just in this phone format. Like it's this, and you're like, okay, everything has to be centered. I can't be creative with using the full frame unless I want to do like edits back and forth and things like that. And it's just like, but that's how everything on Twitter. I mean, that's like even on Twitter, that sort of thing is where I get, you know, I'll post video or something like that and it gets, you know, 30,000 views. Nothing on YouTube. I get like 500 views on YouTube, nothing whatsoever, barely anything on Facebook. But I mean, I have a larger Twitter account than anywhere else, but that's,
and you're certified blue check mark on Twitter.
Oh,
so.
and I'm you know,
verified, baby.
Yeah, verified.
I'm also Twitter Blue, which they just came out with a paid I pay Twitter. That's the difference. $4 a month or something like that. But you get all these, you get like reviews and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is they allow on Twitter Blue, it's 10 minute long video clips.
Okay.
So that's nice.
Since that, I have, you know, 14,000 followers, and the Greg Pallas, the guy I do video work for mostly, has like 70,000 or whatever. And so that's where all of our views go for when we do like news pieces. And I become like an expert at 2-minute, 20-second video news pieces. And now I'm just gonna have to go back to the 5 or 10 minute long pieces I used to do for, you know, BBC and stuff. But yeah, the viewership is, I mean, like we get 100-200,000 views on our news stories. And I mean, like the last story I did on a January 6th thing, it got, I think it's upwards of 600,000 views now, which is way more. I mean, that's, if I was on anything other than Rachel Maddow, I wouldn't get that many views.
Yeah.
You know, so it's wild to think that like, now I would just wish I could figure out a way that people would actually give me money to do it on Twitter. So I don't have to try to get an assignment or whatever. And I can just be like, nope, I just post on there. I'm fine with it. Works great for me. So, yeah.
Well, you know, before we get too far into the show, one of the things that I wanted to do differently with this era, I guess, of Around the Lens was to really focus on the visual, right? And so if you're listening to the show, because this will probably still be an audio podcast, that's great. You can enjoy it just as much as anything else we do. But I really want to push you towards looking at our YouTube channel and watching the show as a video podcast more so, because, you know, it's not just going to be talking heads like it normally is. You know, I want to show off what we're all doing, right?
We also have an overlord.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, come on, let's go.
So before we get too far, let's go ahead and show off this video that you graciously sent to me. And I want to show it off so people can see it. This is your reel, right?
Yeah, this is the last piece of video content I made. This is on July 27th. And it kind of spurred had a little bit of all kinds of stuff happened this summer. A lot of things I can't explain, a lot of things I can. And this is kind of the start of that. Sorry you won't be able to hear it, Zach, because the audio is real fun.
Well, it's okay, because actually what I'd like us to do is, as we're watching this, let's commentate and ask questions. And so, Zach, if you have questions that you want to ask, or, you know, mention or comment about, you know, this stuff, by all means, you got the author here. You know, I've seen some of these clips before, especially some of your drone footage.
Oh yeah.
And it's wonderful. It's very atmospheric and well done. So let me
still in
that full screen. So that'll show up on the.
Yeah, it's right there.
I want Zach to be able to see it though. Let me.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so Zach, you can see So we got, talk us through what we're seeing right now.
Well, this is a story about me and my experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like your career in a nutshell, right?
Yes, yeah. For the most part, it's all my histories present kind of at once here. But particularly, I wanted the opportunity to tell an actual story and hide it in the confines of just like a Pepe Mono cinema reel.
Yeah.
Just kind of like draw attention to like what actually matters in this field and what we're all doing here and why we're here.
Yeah.
And it's to tell stories and to inform the American public of what their service members are doing overseas.
What was your sort of you have this nice beat going on here. What's this musician and what's this music track? What was the reason for that choice?
Well, it kind of changed now. We are into a different segment here. But
what was sort of like your musical, what I liked about this was your really good sound design, right? I think you did great sound design here. So what was kind of like
the important question is, how am I getting footage like this?
I'm assuming you're in an aircraft. You have to be in an aircraft. You're not shooting this with a drone, that's for sure.
No.
How'd you get that shot?
It's a simulation.
It's a simulation?
None of that was real.
Oh.
None of that was real. This is real. This was the real stuff.
I could not tell. I thought that was a real shot. Wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Like that's where we've come technologically. Digital combat simulator is the name of it.
Wow.
And using that, incorporating that into the work. But this is just kind of a reflection on like it was kind of weird being the only person with a camera over there. And just since then, everything's kind of transpired. And I don't know, this is just a meditation on time. And the fact that you can't take away what happened.
Is that why you chose to kind of like go and do the reverse type shots? Or you mentioned when we were talking about it, because like we control time. So
yeah, we do, right? We control time. And what's cool is just, yeah, you kind of slap and edit everything together. And you can, just like our memories, right? Like the opportunity here, and what this kind of is for me is just our memories, our experiences, our thoughts, the pictures we made, the fiction we've consumed, it all kind of exists on the same plane.
Yeah.
Like right here and right here. And you reference it with no particular attention to context.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at here. This is it's kind of a reflection on that and learning and growing and the de-radicalization in some sense from violence.
There's like a huge difference between like what you think of especially from the military perspective, combat coverage. Now that you're using drones and you're being able to use like cinema cameras on in the middle of a battle, so in the middle of whatever's going on, and everything here looks like, I mean, like a lot of, especially your sand shots and that sort of thing. It looks like I'm trying to remember which Star Wars it is. It has definitely a look. The one with the salt. Trying to remember which Star Wars.
Last Jedi.
Yeah,
Last
the Last
Jedi?
Jedi.
Yeah. It has that
planet
vibe to it, like with the fighters, and I know that you're a fan of that world, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I mean, but it's interesting to, you look at a lot of look at Restrepo, and you look at a lot of these other like films that are or even just combat footage that even from 10 years ago, and from the same war, for the most part, depending on where you are. And it doesn't look a hell of a lot different than what you might see in Vietnam. But now, like I'm looking, it's like shaky handheld cameras, things like that. I mean, like everything's steady. Everything looks, whether it be the drone shots, whatever, which is not something, I'm sure we had drone footage 10 years ago, but not exactly accessible to DINFOs. Joke.
Well, I'm still amazed that you got the opportunity to shoot that drone footage you did, just because of the amount of restrictions on using drones. It still blows my mind that you were able to get that amazing footage. But
right place, right, perfect storm kind of scenario situation. I was like the only person there, and the Army was rapidly fielding SUAS technology and devices. And when we had gotten to the position there in Syria, they handed over the whatever technology they had to take drones out of the sky, and it came with 2 like full-blown just DJI Phantom 4 Pro Plus suites. Just 4 batteries, cards, filters, the whole 9 extra blades. I asked the captain, the Intel captain, I was like, hey man, can I just go shoot with one of these? He's like, I don't care. Do whatever you want. But the exchange was just, I would go out to the edge of the compound, and when they wanted to test a thing, I'd take like my little 153 radio and I'd take the drone out there, send it up in the air. I have positive control of the drone. They're like, all right, we're arming the thing. Arm. I no longer have positive control of the drone. So we do all kind of fun stuff like that.
Yeah, indeed.
So you didn't have to go get like FAA approval or anything like that.
No, there's no FAA in Syria.
Yeah, I know.
There's a Wild West out there. All kinds of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, it was a very, and I had that opportunity to do that for 4 months. I had access to the drone and just got better at it from there. And that's like the other aerial stuff. It's all kind of the same. And to your point, Zach, like everything is getting more cinematic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so hard to define that line between, it's like what is, and never mind what is journalism and what is
real
PR and promotion and what is real, obviously, like you said. But and the fact that you can just kind of like cut those lines without even anyone noticing, especially, I mean, you have 2 professionals in this field who don't notice the difference on things. And that is, I don't know, it's interesting, but also terrifying.
I think, that's a great point. Yes, we are reaching this weird precipice in which propaganda is journalism, is documentary, is cinema. I tend to think of cinema as a language, not a place you go to see movies. And it's something we've all kind of grown up with in one capacity or another. But
it's amazing to see how easy, because I mean, like, have you ever seen the movie Wag the Dog?
I haven't. No.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, you got to see it. But it's basically the idea of them making that a president gets into a scandal and he makes up a war. And they're doing cinema things. They hire a Hollywood director,
special effects.
Special effects. They do everything and sell it like crazy. And obviously at the time, because that was what, 91, 92, 93, no, 94, I think, the mid 90s.
I think it was, I thought it was late 90s. I don't remember.
Yeah. It was right around, it was Clinton administration. That's all I remember. So the technology wasn't really there to sell the war as easy and quickly as like do exactly what they did. But now it'd be a breeze. It'd be a complete and utter breeze between stock footage, pull stuff from Dinfos, pull stuff from gaming platforms. I mean, it
97.
happens, like 97. Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. Is that, oh God, I'm trying to remember what, whether it might have actually been the Syrian conflict that Assad's disinformation people were selling video clips from a game as proof of something happening. I'm trying to remember which one it is.
That's on the periphery of my remembering too. Just let's take a Phantom Flex, 4K Phantom Flex, shoot 10,000 frames a second. Let's take that into a combat zone. Let's see what we get with that.
Yeah,
in the
really
middle
cool
of
footage.
It would be unreal, right? Imagine seeing something like that, and we're on our way.
Yeah,
we're on our way to stuff like that. It's just volunteer folks to do it. That's something that's been on my mind, is just slowing everything down to every painful little detail that transpires in front of that lens.
Yeah.
I think to do something like that, especially like on like a super slow motion camera, whether it be natural disaster, conflict, war, whatever. Yeah. Just slow down that time to a snail's crawl, just to really see kind of like, just to bring people into the experience a little more than they might otherwise be comfortable with or willing to do.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of necessary. That's a necessary step a lot of folks ought to take. Because I don't know, the information environment now is it's just a hurricane. It's just chaos.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I want to take a moment to showcase some of your work, Zach, that you had most graciously sent our way. This is your For the Love of Guns, God, and Donald Trump. So let me put this up on the big screen here. I have to take your visage off. Actually, I can probably put you both, put you side by side here on the big screen. We can make this work. Just shrink you down a little bit. Shrinky dink.
What are we drinking, Zach?
Powers, Irish whiskey.
Oh, very well.
Beautiful. Okay. Here we go. Okay, Zach, talk us through what is For the Love of Guns, God, and Donald Trump.
So this is the Rod of Iron festival. It happens. It's happened 2 years, but it's now it's an annual thing. It's put on by I always pronounce it wrong. Kahar Arms. They do the Desert Eagle. They create. I think they have AR-15 platforms and different things as well. But they are a. It's also put on by the if older folks are probably more familiar with the Moonies. It's a religious cult group, whatever you want to call it. This is a splinter section from that. One of the sons who was anointed as the next Reverend Mooney. He's just a pastor in northern Pennsylvania. It's about 40 minutes east of Scranton, Pennsylvania. And basically it's a celebration of the Second Amendment and guns, and it has a lot of the crossover between like far right Christian religion and kind of Christian. I mean, it's like a different, but if again, look up the Moonies and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Right.
But everything from, if you can see, like you scroll back up, one of the daughters of the Moons makes chocolates in the shape of guns. So do I have, I think I brought that with me, but they have like, paraphernalia that you can buy like this. I'm holding up. It's a thermos shaped like a bullet. Yes,
beautiful.
it's shaped like a bullet. It doesn't look like something else. Rod of Iron Kingdom. But you can see in one of the photos the Pastor Moon, who has a small church about 20 minutes away from Scranton. He wears a crown of bullets. He has a gold-plated AR-15.
Is that photo on this page? I'm scrolling by.
It should be somewhere in there. Yeah, maybe towards the bottom. Maybe not. Should be somewhere in there. But basically right-wing dignitaries, that is Sheriff Mack in front of the 3%er sign. That's Pastor Moon.
Oh, there's the crown.
And that's Pastor Moon holding a gold, it should be an AR. And that is Justin Moon, the CEO of Kahar Arms. And they do very well within the gun industry. And basically, as far as I can tell, it funds it. Not only I know for a fact it funds this little thing that has soiree. I was trying to come up with a fancier word.
I think that's about as fancy as it gets. Soiree.
Yeah. And so you have a big mix of the military, like the 3%er crowd, like kind of militia crowd that are just all around Pennsylvania. And like they have a big veteran, like the first day they have a big veteran thing where they give away motorcycles to wounded vets who've like lost a limb or something, and they raise money, which I'm never quite sure how that group is that necessarily connected, because they seem to do good work, and they happen to be far right, but it's not like in their thing that they do. It's just like, oh, it's a motorcycle group. Everybody, it's the leather vest crowd is quite strong there. Is what I say. The biker vest of people who don't always motorcycle, but they got lots of patches. And you have right-wing people speaking, like this guy holding up the shirt about toxic masculinity at the bottom of the page there. He is running for Congress. Oh yeah, the safe space. It's funny because I took a photo of it the day before and they didn't have the sign up. that said safe space, and I was like, what is this? It's just like a kid zone where you like come
Yeah,
by,
that
drop
was
your
for
kid
the
off,
kids, daycare.
and then they drop it off, and I'm like, oh, haha, it's a safe zone. Oh, I get it. Yeah,
It's all really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird, and this was a
is
really small
super-
year.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were, I used to say they were very welcoming. My uncle, who passed away last year, but he is the co-founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, and I dropped that name like a lot, so everybody knew who he was, and so everyone was very friendly. Mind you, if they found out, who I was and what I do, I don't know how friendly they would be. But it was an interesting thing. This is the head of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. It's a group of sheriffs and police officers who believe because they are elected officials, they are above the Supreme Court, and that the Congress can't tell them what to do because they swear on the Constitution in oath, and thus they are above that. And this is what he sells. And he works with groups like the Oath Keepers. I mean, he's friends with quite a few people that were in the Capitol on January 6th, let's just say.
Yeah.
But and actually several people that are in the photos there were actually at the Capitol steps on January 6th and part of the, whatever that was. And,
it was an insurrection. We can call it that.
Yeah, I know. I think I think it's giving them a little too much credit, but I also don't want to downplay it. Like, that's the thing. Where I'm just like,
it's all fun and games until, insurrection happens, right?
All fun games till the downfall of the Democrat Republic.
Yeah, and so you also have like a lot of QAnon people, the flag, you can see the flags, Confederate flags. This is northern Pennsylvania, by the way, once again, very far, 4 hours away from Gettysburg, to say the least. And you have the guy, I believe the next guy, scroll down, everybody loves a good, this guy had this flag made. He himself had it made. Epstein did not, this flag didn't hang itself. That's, Jeffrey Epstein on it. He has,
and just kind of sorry to just interject here, we're kind of going down a list of all these people, but what are they talking about? What is like the conversations that are happening on a casual basis as they brandish, the Jeffrey Epstein flags and everything else going on?
It ranges. I mean, this guy was just showing up and a fan, basically. And I mean, he had interests in QAnon. He believed every conspiracy you could think of. Alex Jones, who's a far-right broadcaster, once again, to say nice thing, one of the kind of organizers of the march towards the Capitol. I don't want to get sued by him, so I won't say anything more. But he was a big fan of him. He had stickers from InfoWars and on the side of his car. Had I talked to him briefly about all the different conspiracies that he believed in, and he just was like, every single thing you can think of, from Joe Biden is communist, is a plant, of course he's communist. I mean, that's a foregone conclusion.
What, a Manchurian type candidate or something?
Yeah,
like
no, I mean, whether or not he is mentally disabled, and that Kamala Harris is actually, usually any strong woman is a man. That's usually their biggest their number one thing, is that it's
a big refrain there.
Yeah. And the fun part of it is, if you want to say fun, is that they also have a like every good cult, they have a art show. And so you have things like, this is their grandfather, the original Reverend Moon of the Moonies, escaped from North Korea, and is an ardent anti-communist person, to say the least. Like this, we're talking about, if you know what the John Birch Society is, we're talking about that level and maybe a little bit farther, like pure conspiracies. Communists are behind everything. They still exist, and every Democrats are communists. Everyone to the left of John Boehner is a communist. I would also believe that John Boehner is probably considered communist by them. But they have an art show, which I don't know how well this one did, but this is a statue made of small figurine made of Pastor Moon in his
with his crown of bullets.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Dana Loesch of NRA TV fame, who basically, the fun thing is that almost every speaker that came out said, Because being the only journalist, I was the only journalist there briefly. Mark Peterson showed up on Sunday. He was busy covering something down in Florida. But everyone was talking about how the media was attacking them and calling them names and things like that. So Vice came out with a story. They got called out. The Daily Beast came out with a story. Huffington Post came out with a story. And Dana Loesch, of course, spent the time lambasting how terrible the media was. And it's always fun because as the only clear member of the media, I'm not Korean. And so everybody else most of the people that were filming or working for the thing were Korean. And I stood out as the only member of the media there. So I always got these like great pointed looks of people, several of them a lot of them armed, looking at me and, wondering, is he Vice? Is he Daily Beast? What is he? And meanwhile, I'm literally Twitter DMing with the Vice journalists and the Daily Beast journalists going, hey, you just got a call out. But everybody basically, they all treat themselves as they're under attack. The guys talking about masculinity is under attack. Guns are under attack. Everything, you're under attack. So you better go to the store that's right next door and go out and buy the Tommy gun we sell, which we advertise because they make Tommy guns as well. Then they have a shooting range down the road, which was really, really fascinating because you have all these people that have come from South Korea where just no access to guns really. Mm-hmm. And so they're shooting firearms for the first time in their lives. And oh my God, I feel so bad. Felt so bad for the what is it? The range. What's the name of it?
Personnel safety officers or coaches.
Yeah. The guys that were there are just like, because they pick up the gun and literally the number of times that like pick up the rifle and they're going to take a selfie, and the guy's like, boom, slams the gun down.
Yeah, that's never. We don't like when that happens.
And I'm like standing way far back because obviously I'm smart enough to know. But yeah, no, that was really interesting. Literally seeing people fire their first guns for the first time ever, and like the first gun that they shoot is an AR-15 or something like that, not a handgun, not like a normal hunting rifle or something like that, but like not necessarily decked out, with all the specialties AR-15, but like those type of things. But yeah, it was a wild 3-day experience.
Yeah, well, sounds like it. And then this last shot here, the cover shot. Yeah. They just had like a little fireworks show. At the end of
they had a really big fireworks show at the end. It went on for like an hour.
Wow.
Like that was like, there's maybe like 30 people there to watch it because it ended up being so late. But yeah, so that's an RV that actually travels at least Pennsylvania, if not more. I see it all the time down in Harrisburg at any kind of right-wing events. They sell Trump flags and everything like that on the side, and also the classic American flag fading into the Confederate flag sign. And they also have all the conspiracy theories on the side of the truck, if you could see. But I'm very proud of that shot because it was handheld and it was a long exposure.
Yeah, nicely done.
Looks good.
But yeah,
well, so awesome. So you did this. This was something that you did, and then you pitched to the Progressive, or did they hire you, or how did that work?
I pitched it to the Progressive magazine. I've been doing a lot of work for them covering the far right, and I also send the stuff afterwards over to the Wire, which is my Wire service, Nerve Photo, which is how I usually get into these things, because obviously I didn't go, hey, I'm working for the Progressive, let me get into this big gun show and everything like that. And so it's not necessarily trickery or anything like that, but it's just, I'm shooting for my Wire service, and, that's how I get in, just like any other, if it was Reuters or AP or something like that. So
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thanks. Anything coming up down the pipe that we should know about? Any big coverage you're going to be doing late?
Probably the next thing is going to be, there's always the random anti-vax rally and stuff like that seem to pop up continually around everywhere. Yeah. So that inherently I'm moving, because now the far right is literally on Saturday in front of City Hall in New York. I don't know why I'm promoting this, but there's going to be an anti-vax rally with a Christian fascist named Nick Fuentes is going to show up, and so like that movement has completely combined themselves. They're holding rallies because everyone. Never mind. I'm half convinced that most of these people are vaccinated. But
course.
but it pays, I mean, well,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan isn't.
No.
And neither is, and everyone takes medical advice from him now, for some reason, including major football stars. But
That's what they say, right? Before you're supposed to take medicine, consult with Joe Rogan, right? That's the tagline I hear on the commercials nowadays.
If you think this drug is right for you, make sure you consult a Spotify podcaster.
But also, watching Joe Rogan is a side effect of many drugs as well. So
I agree. It's
you're gonna say something about Joe Rogan?
No, I watched just like one video like 2 weeks ago of like him talking to Ross Tyson about UAPs, and then YouTube was like, oh, so you like Joe Rogan, and just everything on my feed now is Joe Rogan. I'm like,
oh yeah, but that's part of the kind of the media. That's how it happens. Is you watch Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan has obviously he has people like Neil deGrasse Tyson on, but Bernie Sanders, but then he'll also have people like Stefan Molyneux, who's a Eastern European white nationalist. He'll have on, and we'll just have a conversation. We'll have a debate, and then he'll have Alex Jones on, and then your algorithm on YouTube then feeds into the next thing, which is one of the biggest problems, which is how people slide into it, and Joe Rogan is the biggest gateway. And but I've often called him, he's probably one of the most dangerous men in America.
The most what of America?
Most dangerous men in America. But
I mean, wouldn't that be true of anyone who has a platform and an amp, a megaphone as big as he does? I mean,
who uses it in the way that they do? I mean, but the different, I mean, one of the other things too is to be like, have somebody like Rachel Maddow, who has a, huge followership or whatever. But if she says something wildly insane, like, oh, you should go listen to Alex Jones. Yeah. I don't think her fan base is going to listen to her. Right. The way that be like, oh, we're just asking questions and things like that. And, there's, I can't, obviously this is not the platform for it, but I could go on, but about this is I mean, he does this a lot, and that's one of the problems with, and also now he has $100 million contract with Spotify, and anytime you subscribe to Spotify, you're helping pay for that. So whatever, do what you will with your money.
Well, you can have I think you can have a free subscription to Spotify and listen to him. So.
But you're listening to ad dollars, which pays for it. But anyway,
sure, of course.
I pay for YouTube Music, so not much better.
I mean, if we just tried moralizing all the things we spent our money on, we'd just all be digging holes and sleeping in them.
Yeah, we wouldn't watch anything or read anything or do anything. We would just be sitting in the dark, not using electricity. Yep. Not absorbing anything, but it's tough when you start. As we
record this on Zoom, which is is it still owned by the China? Remember when Zoom became a really big thing, and then it was like, oh, they're selling data to China, and it was like 3 weeks into the pandemic, and everyone was using Zoom because for some reason we all forgot about Skype, or just genuinely hated Skype, which is,
I think maybe everyone just kind of hated Skype.
Yeah, I know.
I always had a difficult time with Skype, just trying to figure out if I was online or not. The UI UX was not very cohesive. Yeah, no, its inception to the last time I used it, which was like maybe 3 years ago. Yeah. Sorry, Skype. And then Facebook bought it, and it got no better.
I know, right?
Oof, Facebook. Oof. They're now Meta. Hey, let's talk about imaging in the metaverse. Yeah. What's that going to look like?
Pixelated and crappy, like it always
virtual we're going to be avatars.
Yeah, I mean, like what is, so if everybody is going to disappear into the metaverse, like Mark Zuckerberg seems to want us all to do, what is the role of a visual, like, storyteller or a journalist or a photographer, a videographer? What does that look like in that kind of space?
Well,
we posit the question to both of you.
We just spin up our digital warfighter simulator game, and we just we're virtual storytellers in a virtual environment. You see that too in, like, the video game for the journalists, where they pretend to be the photographer in the war zone of like GTA or something like that. Yeah, and that's pretty neat. That's the only thing I could think of that might be. I did not watch the Facebook metaverse briefing, so I don't know if I know it's supposed to combine all the different things into one thing, but
David, all he talked about was the word experiences, and not actually. It was very much a tell versus show presentation. And the only thing it really demonstrated to me was like Zuckerberg's inability to like effectively like coordinate and synchronize his like his very prepared hand motions with his very prepared eye motions, because he's had a lot of PR training.
Yeah.
They just are never in sync. It's like a drummer, like on a hi-hat and a bass drum, and it's never in sync. It's just like, it's all there. It's all there on the screen in my ears, just not coming together. But I mean, just like, not just the like Facebook's metaverse, but this whole idea of everything all at once or everything here. What is that going to do to copyright laws? How are copyright laws going to have to change to accommodate a platform in which you could be, you know, Boba Fett walking into the X-Men universe, you know, with some My Little Pony backpack on?
I mean, isn't that going on now? Aren't there these virtual 3D simulation things where you can take an avatar, you can make an avatar, you know, obviously the, what was the Knuckles, you know, the squished Knuckles avatar was very popular for a while.
I mean, Fortnite's doing a lot of that kind of stuff now.
But that's official though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, how is copyright law going to have to change? And then what does that mean for, you know, image makers too? Especially, it's one of the big things about like Galactic Warfighters, to bring it back to like image making, is you know, a lot of the content and the art that I produced for that photo project all falls under the guise of like Disney. Because Disney owns Star Wars, Disney owns all this other stuff, so there's limitations to what you can do.
Well, I think there's limitations on what you can profit off of, right? Like, I think if you tried to sell your work like commercially versus, you know,
and we know that argument, right? We all know how that works,
right?
How does it work in a world in which everything is possible all at once? Does copyright law change? How does that needle move? What does that look like? I don't know either.
You know, Zach,
it kind of feels like a situation where, remember when pirating, like, you're just, you know, downloading movies on the internet illegally, how they charged one dude like 24 years for like downloading the Hulk or something like that, when the MPAA was really cracking down on everybody. But could we end up in a situation like that again, where it's just this crazy Wild West where all these corporations are just suing the hell out of just regular folks? Or is there going to be some kind of change?
I think we've moved beyond the suing individuals for downloading and copyright infringement. I think now it's more of the, either like the YouTube model where you profit off of someone using your work, right? And you don't get money for that, or it's just the shutting it down, right? It's either I'm going to make money or nobody's going to see this, you know, that product you create. So I mean, I can see that extending to this metaverse idea, because ultimately, if Facebook is going to be the one to host it, they're going to be the one held accountable for copyright infringement on their platform. And, you know, you're going to have the same DMCA takedown notices that can exist, you know, on any platform. I don't think copyright is going to be negated on this new platform, whatever it might look at, you know, and ultimately any copyright holder can do anything with regard to DMCA. And if there isn't that protection, then that's when new laws have to be created to ensure the protection. You know, I don't care if you're on some virtual world, if you're taking my photos and, you know, sharing them without my permission or profiting off them, I'm going to do whatever it takes legally to prevent you from doing that. You know, it doesn't matter what you do in the metaverse, it's still real people interacting with the metaverse, right? There's still a real person behind whatever you're doing online.
The insane thing is, like, how do you catch it? I mean, that's the big problem, is like you have all of these things happening all of the time. Not to quote
a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there you go. I was like, I mean, that's
Bo Burnham, folks.
The song of the I was gonna say
Our Generation.
Decade, I don't know, like really. But I mean, one of the big problems is that, like, you know, live streams and that sort of thing, if they aren't recorded, if they're not sticking around, or if they're used in a different way, it's very easy to, you could have an entire show that shows nothing but copyrighted photojournalism or something like that, and my attorneys are never going to find it. I'm not going to find it. And so, like, within a metaverse where you have, if it's like, you know, however it ends up looking, whether it's like a real huge version of Second Life, if everyone remembers that, game. And if it's something like that, then either you're gonna have two different options. Either it is completely Wild West and there's no restrictions and there's no nothing. And then I don't know how you watch over that at all, especially if there's like
tackle something like that.
Yeah. I mean, if there's 5 million people, if there's 20 million, if there's whatever, I mean, how do you do? I mean, YouTube is already terrible enough. Not understanding what fair use is, B, not understanding what's just in the background of something or whatever. The fact that like I'm recording a some protest happening and somebody off in the distance plays Metallica, my video gets demonetized immediately without even trying. I mean, I filmed, I pulled a bunch of video clips from the March on Washington, the voting rights march, and every single video got pulled down, or not pulled down, but demonetized.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like I just put them up for record and whatever. If somebody wants, it's always nice to put it up there and maybe somebody wants to, license it. But it's just one of those, it's like, okay, well, I could get 1 million views on this now and no one is making money from it other than YouTube.
That's why the cops played Taylor Swift whenever they're being filmed, right?
Which is,
they know it'll impact the views.
Just insane. I mean, it's just, there's a special level of evil for that. Because you're consciously thinking of it and you're consciously doing it. I mean, I always would have arguments anytime protests would have like copyrighted music. I'd be like, do you realize I can't put this up on YouTube now? It's going to be pulled down. Like, I mean, that's what, like, I have all these interviews with people at Donald Trump rallies. And I just don't even, I haven't even really bothered putting them up anywhere because either they'll be pulled down or I'll have copyright strikes and that sort of thing. Because at every Donald Trump rally, they're blasting over everything. But MSNBC and NBC and CNN will have no problem. They can do it. So, I mean, what I think what you'll probably end up having is just what's the gaming where they do microtransactions? What's the gaming EMA, not EMA,
DLC?
No, the gaming company that is famous for like microtransactioning everything
Epic.
in their games. Is it Epic now? Okay, there used to be another one.
Yeah, I mean, Epic. We're talking about like Fortnite, and that's kind of that's part of the other metaverse question is just having all that in there. But I don't know really where it stands as far as imaging is concerned. I just think it's something to consider and talk about as we move forward.
Yeah.
And just how imagery just loses its meaning altogether. And that's the other concern I have particularly is like, does a still image do anything really anymore? Does video even really do anything for anybody anymore? Does anything do anything for anybody anymore?
What is, I mean, the big question, I mean, like, there has been, for every George Floyd video, there is 500 other videos that I see because obviously all that filters into my timeline and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I see all those videos and none of those go viral. None of those things. They're just, a lot of them are just as bad. I just watched a 2-minute video of a cop beating the living crap out of a homeless guy just for being there. That has no views. That was just like nothing. There's 20 people filming it. It has to be like this specific timing of everything going right. Everything like the George Floyd video was just at that right moment. Everybody was sitting at home. Everybody was watching, their phones, everything like that. It was, I think that if that video came out in November or came out in December of 2019, no one would have, it would have been a big thing. But I mean, like I covered a big protest. We have a video of almost of very similar things happening in Rochester. And there was like 5 days of decent sized protests. And it just faded away. I mean, not in Rochester, it's because it's still a thing, even a year later. But it wasn't, Daniel Prude doesn't have, memorials up everywhere. People aren't, his face isn't on t-shirts and things like that. And that's because of the weird way that viral content works on anything. I mean, it could be the weird new dance move, or it could be police shooting, whatever,
whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I don't think
or it could be both. Waiting for it, waiting for the K-pop police shooting crossover, and it'll have 10 trillion views on YouTube.
There's your metaverse reference right there. We already have one. It's here right now. It's just
Indeed.
us. We are the metaverse.
All right. Well, guys, it's been awesome chit-chatting with you about all these cool topics, and a great, honestly, showing off your great work. Thank you for bringing it. And it's been, wonderful to kind of spend time with you all. And, I've missed this kind of interaction that we used to have on the regular. So be on the lookout for more episodes of Around the Lens in the future. In the meantime, though, where can people find more about your work? We'll start with you, Zach. Where can people are you still doing vsu.news?
Yep. VISU.news. Starting up a new podcast focusing on disinformation and kind of the far right, and focus specifically on that at least. And also ZD Roberts on Twitter, where I not only have that blue check mark, but I'm also Twitter blue. I'm now paying to be there.
You're gonna pay for Instagram?
No.
Where can people find your work?
On my website, just at callahanvisual.com. That's pretty much it. That's it these days. That's probably where it'll be for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Go there, see the reel, listen to the music. It all very well put together. Why is it called IN 448?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. That's my Viren.
Oh, okay. Good.
So here's a fun little last thing. One last thing.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, there's no other than your EDIPI, which is just a string of numbers that doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's nothing more individualizing than a Viren, honestly, in the service branches. Like, it's of all the different military occupational specialties I've come across, I've experienced, I've been with, whether you're a culinary specialist, an admin clerk, an infantry, bubba, whatever, kicking down doors, the Viren stands. It's just like this singular identifier, and it is wholly unique to you in the entire Department of Defense. It's pretty fun.
Is it like your social security number or something? Or to explain to non-military?
It used to be your social security
number. It is a series of letters and numbers that are that are assigned to the imagery they create and then processed for ascension up to DIMOC or DIVIDS or wherever you're going, where the DoD publishes its imagery.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, everybody who holds a camera in the Department of Defense has a Viren, and yeah, that's my story.
What other job can you have in the military or any profession where your imagery, what you shoot, is going to be archived in the Library of Congress? That's, I think, the coolest thing is that all the imagery you shot, I shot, anyone who, like I said, picks up a camera, has a Vision ID, it's all being archived, and it's going to be there and owned by the government and available to everyone to use. So I think that's pretty neat. It'll live on beyond us.
It will. And the tens of thousands of cake photos will live beyond us as well.
Let there be cake.
Let there be cake.
All right, guys. Well, that's been Around the Lens, episode 251, our hopefully return to form. As you probably have, hopefully I've edited this thing down to something that's better and more cohesive than what you saw. And we worked through all the technical difficulties, and it's a work in progress. All right, this new format is a work in progress, and what you see here is not the final representation of it. But really eager to get Matt back in here, maybe again for another show, and maybe Zach in here in the studio for a show in person. That'd be great.
Down here in the DMV.
That's right,
sir.
I'm in the Hampton Roads. That's my zone. So the Hampton Roads.
Nice.
Which makes literally no sense to me at all, because it's Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and like Richmond, or something. It's like this area, and I'm like, where's the Hampton Roads anyway? But I'll find out.
My son loves the Old Town Road song. He's a big fan of that. But anyways, Zach, thank you so much. Matt, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it, making this the screen. This the screen.
There we go.
Wait,
I feel like the Hulk.
Can you division?
What's that?
Or not division? Who did the painting? God in the thing. Anyway,
in the back.
The finger. Touch the finger.
Elliot, please. Elliot. There we go. All right, we got it.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, Zach, thank you so much. Matt, thank you so much. This has been Around the Lens, episode 251. I've been your host, David J. Murphy, and we are out.
Thanks for listening to Around the Lens. We hope you enjoyed the show. To continue the conversation, head on over to one of our social media outlets such as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter. To support the show financially, consider donating to us via Patreon. For show notes from this week's episode and links to everything else we talked about, just go to our website, aroundthelens.com. Finally, if you or someone you know might be a good guest for the show, get in touch with us via email at info@aroundthelens.com.